All right, guys. Here with another episode. We got Steven Slate today. How's it going, man?
What's up, guys?
Round two. Attempt two. Unfortunately, we lost the last episode due to audio technical difficulties, and it was the fucking worst thing ever.
But
We had a good chat, though. I mean, still,
Yeah,
good chat's a good chat, regardless of whether anyone else is going to hear it. The three of us had a good talk.
Probably the longest episode we've ever recorded. Yeah. 2 hours of pure gold, and nice down the tube. But we're out here in LA. We said, "Fuck it, let's do it again." So here we are.
Here we are. It's good to see you guys again.
Yeah, man. You know what's funny? It's better doing it now because doing it like back to like I've had to do it before we lose like a part of one and we have to do it again right away. That's when it's really awkward.
We have a bunch of new stuff to talk about too.
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I always have. Hey, I can always yap.
Cool. Do you want to start off by just talking about Slate Digital and Slate Audio and kind of different stuff?
Slate Digital, we make a bunch of cool products for producers. A lot of plugins. Our start kind of came in with the analog model plugin. So all the classic studio gear, EQs and compressors and tape machines, consoles. So we model all that. We have a modeling microphone called Virtual Microphone System. It's a mic used by a lot of great artists. And it's a single microphone that models a bunch of famous microphones. So you get a lot of different tones from one product. And now we've branched into more modern producer products. We have this fantastic synthesizer called Anna 2. And we have a bunch of new amazing tools by a company called Kilohertz in our bundle. And it's called the All Access Pass. So that's one side of my company. In my other company, we make a thing called the Raven, which is a touchscreen production console. And it's a multi-touch desk, and it works with all the different DAWs, makes your world easier as you produce. And then another product we make is called Trigger, and Steven Slate Drums. It's drum software. Trigger is a drum replacer, and SSD5 is a drum virtual instrument.
Yeah. So when it comes to music business, Steve's pretty much fucking smoking it. Like when he's saying just Raven, like that thing is nothing to joke. That's in like Steve Aoki's studio.
It's a big ass screen.
Yeah.
That thing must have been hard to make. And you want to tell the story again about how that all came together?
The Raven was an interesting story because I was mixing on a big old analog desk. It was this big thing called a Neotech Elite. And when Slate Digital came out with the Virtual Console Collection, it sounds like analog consoles. So like the reason for me mixing on the desk partly was because of the sound. I wanted to sound like when you put, tracks through an analog console, you get the sound of the console. Like there's certain consoles that people, prefer to mix on because it has a vibe to it. It's a color to it. So when we created this plugin called VCC, it reproduced the color of the console inside the DAW. Like you can mix and get the sound of the console. So I no longer needed a console for the sound, but I did need it for the workflow. Because I'm just used to like reaching out, grabbing stuff. I want to EQ something, tweak something. It's just, I was used to just reaching out and grabbing it. So I needed to create something that would reproduce that, but for the modern DAW. And the answer was in my pocket. It's like, every day we have this little computer. Of course, it's like hard to get out of my pocket. We have this little computer, this little touchscreen computer. This is how we interact with our digital world. And then I thought, well, that should be the same way for the studio. If you're interacting hands-on with your digital studio, what better way than to reach out and touch it? So that's when we built Raven. And it's done really well. It's in a lot of pro studios now. You said Aoki's got it. Snoop Dogg's got it. Hell, Dolly Parton's got it. A lot of major mixers like Mark Needham has one. And became the top selling control surface in the game.
That's crazy that you got the balls to take on like even hardware, big projects like that. Because
that was early too, wasn't it?
I wouldn't call it balls. I'd call it stupidity. I'm serious. It was really stupid. I put all my money into that, man. It wasn't that stupid because you know what? I knew it would work. I knew it was correct. Like I knew that people weren't going to keep on using $500,000 analog consoles that weren't built and weren't made and designed to interact with a modern DAW, or DAW. Someone hit me up the other day. He's like, dude, it's not DAW, it's DAW.
I feel like it's either. Who cares?
Yeah, it's either one. Like, is this really a thing now? Is it going to be the DAW versus DAW? So anyway, it's like, I knew that wasn't the case. I knew that it just didn't make sense. And I knew that this made sense. Like here, we just spent, 20 years putting the whole entire studio onto a computer screen. It just made sense to touch it. And so, I sunk a lot of money into it, probably more than I should have. And it took a little bit to get into the green, but when it happened, and it caught on real fast. And hell, they're on sale right now. We just got 3 major orders from some of our biggest dealers to re-up.
Yeah.
So we're happy with them.
No. You want to talk about like your backstory of how you even got started in LA and how you got out here and started networking and stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I think if you really rewind it, it comes down to Abby Stoller. You know who Abby Stoller is?
I slightly remember.
From
round one.
We're round one. Do you guys remember who Abby Stoller is?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys all at home know Abby Stoller. She was the prettiest girl in my 5th grade class. And I noticed that she would always have these folders covered in Vanilla Ice stickers. And she was obsessed with like Vanilla Ice. That's just how old I am. All right. Vanilla Ice was cool back when I was in 5th grade. And I was like, okay, so if I got to like get her attention, I got to like a rock star. I got to be into music. So I asked my mom if I can get guitar lessons, and that started my world into music. So I started out as a musician. I just wanted to play music, and finally I realized, screw Abby Stoller, I just actually like to play. And then after a while, I started writing songs with some friends and started a little band. And then eventually I was like, all right, I got to record these crappy little songs. What do I do now? And then I saved up and bought a cassette 4-track. So we're talking like 1993, 94. Bought a cassette 4-track, which you record 4 tracks onto a little cassette tape. Mm-hmm. And I started getting into recording and realizing that this was something that I was super passionate about, and I just got really into it. And then I remember in high school, I told my parents that I made the baseball team. I didn't actually make the baseball team, but it gave me a few hours after school to do whatever I wanted. So I'd take the train from New Jersey, where I grew up, to Manhattan, and I'd start interning at all the recording studios over there. And I just became obsessed with it. I just loved the art and the process of making music, of making art. It became just an obsession of mine. Then I went to Boston, where I went to school, started my own little recording studio there with whatever money I can gather. Still worked at a lot of other commercial studios. Came out to LA in 2005. And now the goal when I got to LA was that I wanted to become the apprentice of a major producer or mixer. All right, that was the goal. Pretty standard, right? Like, I'm going to come here, I'll be an apprentice to a major producer and mixer, and then I myself will rise up the ranks and I'll become a big producer and mixer myself. I thought that was a good idea. The problem is that I didn't understand that there's about 5,000 other people with that same damn idea. So then you're left with the question, how do I differentiate myself? Because that's what you need to do. You need to differentiate yourself if you're going to make an impact. So the way I decided to do that was similar to a path that you guys do. I was making samples. So I came from Boston with a whole CDR or DVD-R of drum samples. And I said, what I'm going to do, instead of just going out there and trying to say, hey, I'll be your Pro Tools engineer, I'll be your DAW or DAW engineer, I'll hand out some drum samples. So I snuck into a bunch of Grammy parties. And I really mean I snuck in. I would, reverse read names on guest lists. And I'd go into these.
That works.
It does work. but the one thing you got to watch out for, because sometimes you got to do it real quick, because one time I remember going there, I was like, okay, read that name. Who are you, sir? I am Sally with, oh, fuck. No, not Sally. So I'd sneak into these parties and I have like a little satchel of these drum sample CDs and I'd hand them out to big people, like big guys making big records at the time. And that was my strategy. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks later after one of these parties, I got a call. And it's Mike Shipley, who was one of the biggest mixers in the game. The guy I'd worked with, Maroon 5, and who else did you do? AC/DC, Def Leppard, just Shania Twain, just like big bands. And he calls me up and I'm like, this is it. This is my break. He's about to tell me that he wants, that he got my drum sample CD. I must be a motivated little chap. And he's going to want me to be his apprentice. But he didn't say that. He didn't say that at all. He said, hey, man, I'm doing the new Santana record. Can you get me some more drum samples? I was like, what? More drum samples? I'm like, okay, sure. So next thing you know, I'm making drum samples for the new Santana record. And then I get another call from another big producer. He's like, yeah, I heard you're making samples for Shipley. I got this throughout the record. I need a kick that sounds like this, that has a lot of more attack. I'm like, yeah, I got you. So next thing you know, I'm just making samples for all the top dudes in Hollywood who are making records. And that's kind of how I got my start making products for the music business. And then it kind of just after that, I was like, all right, I kind of dig this. This is kind of cool. I don't necessarily need to be, an apprentice or even a producer. I just want to just make stuff that people make art with. And everything blossomed out of that. So there's the story.
Yeah, that's crazy. It goes crazy how it's not like one for one, but very similar to kind of how me and Drew got started, doing music industry stuff. And then randomly this Cymatics thing just popped. And I was like, oh, this is what people want.
Yeah, and you enjoy it. I mean, it not only pops, it pops. Because as it's popping, you're like, okay, I like this.
It becomes a game, like a fun thing to try to keep outdoing ourselves with more and more products and add cool shit to it. So no, definitely super interesting.
Well, you guys are killing it. I love what you guys are doing.
I appreciate it, man. Dude, the event last night was crazy.
I loved it, man.
I can't believe we had that many people.
I was dead. I was dead at that event last night. Like, when you came, I was like,
you gotta stay behind the DJ booth a little bit more.
Did you get interviewed by that guy?
I did get interviewed by that guy.
Dude, that guy, did he give you a wonky interview?
It was a great interview. He came up to me and he said, "Is it okay to not have bangers?" To which I replied, "Yeah, sometimes part of the game is building yourself up till you get to those bangers and working hard to figure out what makes those bangers." And his response was like, "Nope, that's incorrect. They should all be bangers."
This guy was like a Nardwar, like a weird, crazy interview guy. And it was just hilarious because he interviews me. And then, he's going around like finding people to interview. I'm like, dude, Steven Slate's here. He's like, what?
Oh, that's so
And I was like,
fun.
yeah. I was like, go hunt him down. And he came over there. But dude, the first thing he like tells me is like, hey man, he's like, so you ever been interviewed at an event? I'm like, no, never have. He's like, all right, I'm glad we can take your virginity. He's like, how's it feel to lose your virginity? And he stuck on that topic for a minute and just like trying to like, that was kind of his thing, obviously.
I got to say, it was one of the more interesting interviews I'd done. No one ever had just, corrected me that every song should be a banger. I don't know. I thought he was goofy and funny and I liked his shtick. It was good.
Yeah.
He was enjoying himself and I was enjoying that.
Yeah. I mean, the LA turned out so crazy that we were just like, we're just going to keep coming back to LA and keep doing more shit here, man.
We're just trying to find somewhere more in the city.
And plus the industry people, it's so much easier to like do double networking, not only with our fans, but then invite out,
I was telling these guys that I wanted to bring a special guest who unfortunately couldn't make it, but next time you guys are here, I'll definitely bring a really good special guest.
You want to talk about the lowest or most heartbreaking moment of your career that you're just like, fuck, I can't believe this is happening?
we would have to do like 5 hours on that. There's just so many of them. I mean, and I'll tell you a specific one. I mean, I think there's one we spoke about last time. Maybe I'll talk about that one specifically because it was so early on in my career. So again, I was doing these drum sample CDs, and we were peddling like, so eventually the next stage, by the way, after I was making these drum samples for these Hollywood guys, I said, hey, let me create a website and sell these to whoever wants to buy them. It was a good marketing campaign. It was like, hey, here's the drum samples that are on every single hit record. So that was my business, Steven Slate Drums. That was the first part of my business. So I start selling these things, and we were selling maybe 150 to 200 a week, which was good because I was making money from something musical. Like I loved that. I was like, wow, this is incredible. But then we talked to this major US retailer, and they started having, their guys talk about it. Like, hey, there's this really great drum sample studio. They're like, hey, we want to make an order of these things. And I go, cool. I'm thinking, all right, how many hundred do you want? They're like, no, we want like 4,000 or 5,000. I go, what? Like, yeah, we're going to do it as like a holiday giveaway, like a promotion add-on to another product we're selling. I'm like, okay, like, can you get it? But you have to get it in time for the holiday sale. So they gave me a date that I'd have to have it delivered to their warehouse by. I'm like, holy crap, I only have a 5 CD duplicator, a DVD duplicator. I would have to actually get this thing pressed, and I'd have to start now and get this thing moving in order to meet the deadline. So I send it out to this professional DVD duplication company. It comes back 48 hours before the last time I can actually overnight it to get it to the retailer. So, I mean, it gets there right in time, and I'm about to actually package it up and send it to this, retailer. And I was like, let me test a few of these just to make sure all is good. And I throw one in and it's corrupt. I throw a second one in and it's corrupt. I'm like, all right, maybe just the first two are corrupt. The third one, I'm sure is gonna be fine. As you know, the whole damn run was corrupt. Something happened with the master glass disc and they were all corrupt. And I'm like, wow, this is my big break. I mean, this is really what was going to make or break my brand. I mean, this is a huge retailer. We'd be in all their catalogs, all their holiday promotions, all their holiday emails. And I was just staring defeat right in the face and smelling its fucking defeaty breath, And I said to myself, I can't let this happen. I got to figure out a way. So I'm thinking to myself, I have 48 hours to make this work. And I started calling all these duplication companies, going, hey, can we get 5,000 discs printed in the next 48 hours? They're all like, no way. It's impossible. And then there was one on Sunset Boulevard. There's a duplication company on Sunset Boulevard. And I drove down there. And I'm like, because I just figured in person, maybe I can plead my case a bit better. And I drove down there and I remember looking at the guy and I go, listen, man, I need to make 5,000 discs. Can we do it? He goes, listen, man, it's impossible. I have, there's 10 people ahead of you. This would normally take a week and a half, 2 weeks to turn around. And I remember saying to him, like, listen, if the world was about to end, unless you were able to do this. Like, could it be done? Like, how could this possibly be done? Like, if life itself depended on me getting these damn discs done, can we do this? And he looked at me almost sarcastically and he says, yeah, if you want to run the machines all throughout the night shift yourself. And I go, perfect. What time can I be here? And he goes, are you serious? He's like, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. I'll come here. I'll run the machines myself overnight. So me and my assistant at the time, it was a 2-man company. We got a case of beer. We got there at about 8 o'clock right after they closed. He showed us just basically how to work the machines. We just had to restock the spindle, make sure the printers were working. And we stayed that entire night. We got there at 8. We went through 5,000 discs. We printed them and duplicated them, and I think till about 7 or 8 a.m. the next day. We got every single one done, packaged, boxed up in a bigger box. And the next day we sent it out to the big retailer and we met the deadline.
Damn.
And that started a great partnership with that retailer, who, by the way, was one of the retailers who just put a huge order in for our microphones and our Ravens today. And I don't know how that would have went down if we started off our relationship on such a bad note.
Do you think you would maybe be in like a much different place, like Slate Digital and Slate Audio right now?
We certainly could be. Maybe we could have made up for it. Maybe I could have hustled and proved them that, I could have made up for it. But I'll tell you this. Maybe I would have. I certainly would have tried. But, I think the point of that story is just like, you really don't give up. What's the point? Like, fucking hustle. I see a lot of people like, as soon as they see the first raindrop, they're like, it's about to thunderstorm. Might as well go inside. Really?
Yeah.
Really though? If you look at all the people who are successful, and I'm lucky to surround myself by a lot of successful people, they don't pack it in when they see that first raindrop. They don't sit there in their sorrows. They hustle, and that's what you got to be. Not only in this industry, but in life, man. You just got to hustle, and everything. There's going to be challenges, there's going to be obstacles, but it's such a greater reward when you have that tragic moment, you overcome it, you overcome that obstacle, and you end up winning in the end. And I've done that with a lot of products. I got to say, when we first came out with the microphone product, we hyped it up for a little bit. Then everyone said, this is bullshit. I was made fun of. I was belittled. I had all these pros, these snobby pros, like, with their big mic collections, they're saying like, this is bullshit. Like, stop fucking around here. Like, we don't even want to hear about this. This is a bullshit product. I was like, no. I was like, I know this is real. Like, I sat there with my own ears and did an A/B against this $20,000 251 telephone mic. It sounds exactly the same. The technology works, this product works, and it makes sense because not everyone can afford $100,000 for the mics. It makes sense. And I just pushed forward with it, and I got the right people to get behind it at the right time. And like, again, now it's on sale, and we just got re-upped on a whole bunch of orders. And, it's nothing really that great comes without a little bit of a fight, and sometimes a big fight.
Yeah, I agree, man. How important do you think it is to work for free? Because some people are just so fucking prideful about it, man.
I worked for free for a lot, man. It's a tough question. I didn't work, but see, I didn't consider it working for free though. Because I was learning so much. The payment that I got was this incredible knowledge. When I'm sitting there breaking down a session between two, platinum selling bands in a big studio in New York when I was 17 years old, and understanding what it took to do that, or watching this producer talk to this singer who's like having problems in the booth, and just watching that dynamic and the people skills that would require and the psychology that was required. I'm paying for education. Sometimes I was like, I'm working for free, but I should be paying these people because I'm learning so damn much. That said, nowadays you got crazy labor laws and all kinds of stuff. I don't know how it works depending on the state. So I don't recommend, doing.
You can intern. You can definitely intern places.
Yeah. I think this California labor.
Yeah. Maybe in Cali it's probably different now, but yeah, you can definitely.
But the point is this: if you're trying to learn and trying to elevate yourself in a certain industry or craft, it should not start off about money. I get it. You have to have a living. You have to figure out something. And again, that's part of the hustle. Maybe you're working, during the day as an intern for free or for minimum wage, and then you're hustling after that at a nighttime gig. But don't expect if you to just start off and get paid $1 million. You're part of it. The initial part of the hustle is you got to learn your craft. You got to learn from people who are better than you. Absorb their knowledge. And that might come at a cost. Sometimes that cost is getting another job that gives you money to pay your bills.
How do you go out to like a studio and get like an internship or get that opportunity to get your foot in the door?
Well, a lot of these studios, they'll have job applications when they need people. I know a good friend who has a very big studio. One of his head engineers left, so that the second engineer got in that role, and they were hiring some junior engineers. And they put the job in different job boards. And if you know what the hell you're doing, someone came into that job and was like a hustler on Pro Tools, which is what they use mostly, and also presented a few different ideas about how to get their networking a little better. And I think they hired that guy. And it's just you got to differentiate yourself and prove your value. I mean, that's why you get hired. People hire you because that person's going to be valuable for us, for me, so your job is in a job, interview is to prove your value.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Is there any so, I mean, you're talking about grit earlier, which I think is a super fucking important thing. Like just being able to withstand that over the long period of time, no matter what kind of shit happens. So a lot of our audience probably gets shitted on by their family, friends about doing stuff in the music industry. Cause everybody almost relates it back to I had a friend who tried that, like they're fucking broke or something like that, it kind of has this bad, like what would you recommend to people trying to come up in the music industry and then dealing with that hate towards what they're trying to do for their passion?
So the funny story about that is that my parents are very, very supportive of me, and they don't like to admit this, but before I did pretty well with the audio companies, they were not very supportive, rightfully so, because I wasn't making money, and here's their adult son and he wasn't making money. I get it. I mean, put yourself in your parents' shoes. Your parents want you to go into a field that's safe. Parents like safety. And they want to see that you're making an income. And some industries like music production, it's not so safe. Having said that, if you're passionate about it and that makes you happy as a human being, you have to do it. You have to do it. And then the solution then is figuring out how you can incorporate this passion into your life and still have a life. Again, it's not going to immediately start paying bills. You're not going to, unless you immediately get this instant hit, you're going to have something to pay the bills, and you might have to work that into your life. And that's what's going to help with the parent situation. Your parents will feel safe. They're like, okay, he's exploring this passion, but he's also being reasonable and paying his rent by, hustling at night, and has another night job, or he's going to school. So there's other skills that he or she will have. So I think that you just have to be logical and reasonable about it, but if this is your passion, you got to do it. But the other thing too is this: if it truly is your passion, and here's the biggest secret about what I do, it's not about the money. I mean, if I just could afford a steak or two a week, some beer and some rent, I'd be happy, because I love what I do, man. I love it. And people should produce music and make art not for the money. It's got to be because they love it. So in some cases, it could just be, hey, that you've got a gig that's a 9-to-5 gig. It's paying you money. You go home, crack open a brew, go to your little man cave where your studio is, and make some music. And that could be the part of yourself that just helps you live, because it's your art, your passion.
Sometimes there's a beauty about keeping stuff in the passion category versus turning it into a job.
I agree.
I think there's a lot of stuff like that I personally will keep things. Like, even though I could go harder and you could make a living, but sometimes you don't want that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that for me, that is, being a professional basketball player, I could be in the NBA, but I'm lacking two things: time and basketball skills. But if I had those two things, I wouldn't be here. I'd be fucking shooting hoops professionally.
Or ping pong.
So I have a question. So how do you recommend somebody that is just starting out set up a business plan? What would you recommend somebody going into it do?
Well, you said the magic word, which is plan. Mm-hmm. You guys are two of the most organized guys I know. You guys have plans. You're so structured. You research. I mean, you met with one of the best marketers in the world and absorbed his knowledge. And I think it really comes down to being a proper plan. A lot of people in the industry have said, oh, Slate, you take these big risks like the Raven, and you made this virtual microphone thing and this. And to be honest, none of these are really risks. They're very calculated risks, but the calculated part is the important part, because I really think these things through. And I say, okay, where's the market? Who's the purchaser? Why do they need this? Why? I keep asking why. What is the user profile? What is this going to do for them? What is the benefit it's going to have? So I plan these things out, and then I make a calculated, logical result to that. And I go, all right, yeah, I think this is going to work. This is worth me putting my money in. And And I think that anyone starting out really needs to plan this out. Like going off the cuff it sounds cool in speakers on social media. Oh yeah, I'm trying this. I'm a risk taker. No. You know what's even sexier is when you plan shit out, you have it all mapped out, and you do it and it works, and you have that better result because you know what the hell you're doing. I think that's just always been my motto. I like to have a structure, and I know what to expect. Along the line, you can take little mini risks here and there, but it's all going towards this end game result where you know that this is going to make sense.
Yeah, me and Drew shift a lot on like the day to day, the random shit. Yeah, we're moving quick, we're changing left and right, pivoting, but like long term, we're usually still striving towards like the spot that we talked about. I mean, even long time ago, I got little goals we're writing when we first started Cymatics, and we've like almost like down to a T. Like some of them, like doing this, it's like done.
Sure, but I mean, with you guys, you have the way you guys market your free packs to your sample packs to your events. I mean, all this is part. I mean, you didn't just sit there one day and go, "Hey, let's do an event tomorrow in Los Angeles." Hey, let's podcast. Like this is part of your brand. Okay, we want to strengthen our brand. What are things we can do? Obviously build up audience with the free stuff, build up audience with contest, build up, fans with the meetups and build a brand that way. Do the podcast to get more people involved. I mean, all these things, I refuse to believe that you just decided these one day. Like this is part of the overall brand you guys are building, and clearly you do an amazing job.
Yeah,
because this is not just a bunch of bullshit you threw together in a basket.
Yeah, it's all about having. Yeah, I appreciate that too. It's all about having the North Star, that thing that you're striving for. Even if it's like we change our we might not ever sell a sample pack again starting tomorrow. But like, what's the North Star? It's building the brand huge.
It's not about the
having the goodwill in the air, so one day we can turn it into whatever we
community.
want.
Yeah. Right. I mean, me and Drew
we could throw a fucking EDC if we want to one day.
Me and Drew are literally going to launch like a Steven and Drew Pokemon card. And people will still buy it.
Do it.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me get in on that.
You want a Pokemon card too?
I want in on that.
100 Steven slates.
We're called Slatymon.
But like, dude, when people like you, they'll buy all the products. Like I'm sure the Slate, the Slate Digital and Slate Audio fans, like you come out with something new, the people who are diehards are going to get whatever. They don't care.
I mean, if you build a great brand, people like to support that brand. They believe in that brand. I mean, I don't love all of my Apple products, but I buy them all because I fucking love Apple. And I love what they stand for.
Yeah. Something that's kind of interesting that I've noticed with you and actually a lot of our guests is like this common theme of like band experience. Like, what do you think it is about that band experience that translates producer? You think it's like the process of like practicing the recordings and stuff early on?
I think it's all of that, man. It's just being a musician. I mean, if you're in a band, you're kind of in a marriage with, 2, 3, 4 other people. Mm-hmm. You have that psychology play with other people. When you have an idea and sometimes like, hey, I want it. You got to make it seem like it's their idea, so then they accept your idea. I mean, that's really what it's about. That's definitely a real talk thing. To anyone in a band, and everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. It's like there's a lot of people skills that you learn being in a band. And then, of course, there's the music aspect, because if my bands would be in the studio, I'd have to record us. I'd have to figure all that shit out. My first band, I remember we recorded on my cassette 4-track. And back with the cassette 4-track, you record on the first 3 tracks, and you got to bounce them all to the 4th track and then start over. And you got to keep doing that. And it just fucking sounds like mush. But I had fun doing it. And I knew that this was something I wanted to explore more.
That's crazy. You said that thing about make the other person think that they thought of it. There's been times where me and Drew, let's say we're working with an influencer or something, sometimes we'll plan out the thing and sometimes I'll talk to them and I'll make it seem like they thought of it. Yeah, that's like pretty good. It's like a crazy high level persuasion tactic. People listening are probably like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But in a creative environment, it's really important because, creative minds usually do this. It's very unlikely, it's very uncommon that you see like creative minds be like, yeah, like even the ones that you think are like these great creative minds, the Lennon McCartneys, that the Jagger Richards, you dig more in and it's like, oh no, these guys are heated. Like this was a heated, dichotomy, and so that you have to learn how to overcome that. Mm-hmm. How do you play? You're playing creative and psychologist at the same time, and I think being in bands really helps that. I was in bands for years, and it definitely helps.
Do you want to go into like some of your plugins and talking about them a little bit? Maybe we could just start with like, what's your favorite compressor that you guys put out?
My favorite compressor, I would say, is this thing called the FG Stress. And it's my favorite because it's it's actually a recreation of the hardware called the Distressor. And the Distressor was a piece that came out in the 90s. And when I was starting in the studios, there was no rack without a Distressor. Nothing. There was no rack. And why did this new piece of gear become so popular? Because it was a compressor that was designed to model other pieces of compressor. other compressors, other famous compressors. So it's like, we have these plugins that model, real gear. Well, this was a hardware piece that modeled other hardware pieces. And what that means is it's versatile. So there's like one setting you use that was amazing on bass, and one setting they called the nuke setting. It's called nuke. You put that on drums, and all of a sudden your freaking drums sounded like Zeus was playing them. And it's like, it just did so much. And I can honestly, it's my desert island compressor because it has so many different personalities. And we make a plug-in recreation of it called FG Stress that we license it right from the distressor company, EL8.
That's awesome, man.
Empirical Labs, rather. And I love that thing. It's badass and everything. I'll put it on a vocal. I'll put it on a beat. I'll put it on some drums, synths, make them just wake up. I mean, it's great.
You want to explain the mic modeling stuff? We talked about it a little bit, but that's just so awesome, man.
Cool, man. Thank you. Again, growing up in studios, I would constantly see about 5 or 6 microphones that all these studios had to have in their mic lockers. It was the U47, Neumann U47, the AKG C12, the Telefunken 251, the Neumann M49, and the Neumann U67. Oh, and the Sony C800G. Every studio would have these microphones. Now, some of these microphones, like the 251, it's a 50, 60-year-old mic, and that's still the microphone they were using. So the question is why? Like why, and like are these, when we have this modern technology, why are all these major studios on their big artists using these microphones that are like 50, 60 years old? And it's because the character and tone of these classic mics is still unrivaled. Like there's a vibe and a tone to an AKG C12 or a Neumann U47 that you just can't get. It's this tone. And when you hear someone sing through it or play through it, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar because you've heard it on so many classic records. But there was a problem with these microphones. I'd work in these studios and they'd have all these microphones, and these commercial studios had these big bank accounts to buy all this. And of course, the problem was I couldn't afford it. So I'll give you an example. The last time I tried to, price out a Telefunken 251 is $25,000 for one microphone. 25 grand. It's insane, right? Good, because I thought so too. So I was like, what could I do to like get that sound in the modern era? And at the time, we were already doing lots of analog modeling in code. So I started kind of debunk what analog sound is. And it really comes down to the acronym DNA, Dynamic Nonlinear Artifacts, which means as you run signal through an analog piece of gear, you get dynamic nonlinear artifacts. Like you get little bits of noise and phase distortion and harmonic distortion, and all these things add vibe and color. So like when you hear something that's like, oh, that's got like a certain vibe to it, it's probably because of the dynamic nonlinear artifacts. That's like the little bits of noise distortion and phase distortion that create tone that's just beyond just the regular neutral network.
And you got to code that in.
You got to code that in. So once we figured out how to code that, I started listening to these big, expensive microphones. I'm like, you know what? It's the same damn thing. The color and the vibe that these things have is because their frequency response. It's because their harmonic response, how they're all tube mics, so how the tube responds and how it colors the tone. So I started working with my partner Fabrice Gabriel, who I co-own Slate Digital with, and we started creating basic models of what we were hearing. But the only thing that was missing was we needed a standard reference for every one of the models to be applied to. So we had to create a hardware mic that was like really flat and linear, that had, that was really, really clean, so that once we added these models to them, it would have the tone of these microphones. That's what we did. And it worked. I mean, we've shot out against the real mics. I mean, we had a mic shootout against the actual U47 in front of thousands of people last NAMM show, and no one could hear the difference.
That's crazy, man. You want to tell the names of those, and then maybe your favorite one from each different one, like the Blackbird and all the.
Yeah. So what's interesting is this: if you look at the virtual microphone system, we have like 3 packs for it. There's the pack that comes with it, and the 2 other packs. And you'll constantly see the same microphone in the pack. Like there's a stock 251 that comes with the mic. Then if you buy the Blackbird expansion pack, which are a bunch of microphones we modeled from Blackbird Studios, there's also a 251. And if you don't know much about vintage mics, you'll be like, what the fuck? Why would I pay for another 251 when there's already a 251 in the main pack? And the answer again goes that these are 60-year microphones, and the way they age is very unique. So even though they both have the 251 sound, they sound different. They each have they're like fingerprints, man, like snowflakes. And like the two snowflakes, yeah, these are from the same cloud, but they're each kind of unique, and that's how it is. So, answering your question, I think the Blackbird 251 is probably one of my favorites. The Sony C800G model in the stock pack, the M version, that's another one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's the one Reed recommended. He uses it on every single one of his mixes.
I mean, the cool thing about that mic is it's like, first of all, it's so freaking clear and clean and airy. And it has just enough warmth in the low end because the tube model kind of just gives you a fatness. It's amazing on vocals.
That sounds so good.
That's a good one. The 251 is really great. And if you want something more like, mid-rangey, a little less top-endy, like just something that's got more vibe and guts to it, the U47s. And again, I think my favorite is the Blackbird. Blackbird 47 is just so damn good.
Awesome, man.
So that's an expansion pack for it.
All right, let's do one more question like that. What about favorite EQ y'all have?
So again, we have a lot of cool vibey analog EQs, and I try to recommend a lot more modern producers get into these things because you got a lot of these clean EQs and they're great, like the clean digital EQs. But sometimes the cool thing about using some of the analog modeled EQs is without any effort, it just gives vibe. Because yes, you're EQing. So like for instance, we have this thing called the FGN. It's inspired by the Neve 1073 EQ. And we have the API style EQ called the FGA. And yeah, you go to these EQs, you do the same thing you would with any EQ, add top, add mid, add low mid, lows, take away lows, so on and so forth. But you get free vibe. So like for instance, I'll put a mix just through my FGA EQ and I'll bump just a little bit of the 50 knob, just 50 hertz for some sub lows. And not only am I getting that extra sub low, but I'm just getting this overall kind of saturated vibe to the whole mix. And that comes free. And that's why I just really love the analog stuff because it gives you this little bit of color, this little bit of depth that you just sometimes don't get with just the pure digital stuff.
Do you think the newer producers, like more the veteran producers, should maybe get more into some of this older school stuff?
I do because all their idols use it. Like for instance, Mike Dean, one of the guys who's mixed Travis Scott and all these, Kanye, and mixed all this modern stuff. You know what he's using? He's using all that stuff. He's abusing it. He's taking our plugins and overloading them just to get more of that harmonic gunk. And that's why everything just starts to sit so fat and just has so much vibe. I mean, you really hear, you bypass, you're like, whoa, what the hell just happened? Like, where'd all the vibe just go? So, I mean, a lot of these guys are listening to these pro mixes that use this kind of stuff. They're trying to replicate it. And if they want to really replicate it, I would say experiment with it. I mean, there's a lot of great software tools out there. We make some cool stuff. Our competitors make a lot of cool stuff. But I would just say try stuff, man. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the knobs. Don't fear the knobs.
If you want to get like that or the modern Travis Scott or Future reverb, what would you go to for that?
Go to the one that he used on that record, which is our Verb Suite Classics. Mike really loves our Verb Suite Classic plugin, and it's got basically 10 reverb boxes, the best of the best 10 reverb boxes built in, and all the presets from them. So what I can do is this. How about I find out from Mike exactly what he used on the Travis Scott?
That would be awesome.
Yeah. How about this? Let me text it.
I got a question. Have you had a moment yet where, I mean, I'm sure you have, but have you had a moment where like you're looking at this and you're like, holy crap, I can't believe our stuff's used? Like, is there a crazy moment or was there a moment when you first started hitting some big things and you're like, I can't believe that it popped up on this record or this producer is using the plugins? Like, because it seems kind of
initially
surreal,
it happened so quick. Like one of the first major records we got on was Santana. I mean, like pretty legendary, rock star, guitarist. I mean, kind of synonymous with guitar, synonymous with Paul Reed Smith, and that was pretty big. But I mean, I've had a lot of those moments, man, because I'm such a music fan. When I found out that Paul McCartney was in a session and they were using one of our plugins on that was kind of cool.
That's really awesome, man.
Like Paul was kind of cool. I'm asking Mike here, what reverb you use?
Are we trying to get a response by the?
Yeah, let's try. What reverb in Verb Suite?
I have a good question.
Yeah, you can ask that.
Did you use on Travis Scott? Let's see if I can answer.
That would be awesome. So how have you seen the music industry change in the last 10 years or so?
Well, first of all, it's been taken over by us, man. Mm-hmm. That's the coolest thing. It's been taken over. It's not like about, major labels driving the message. It's a guy who buys a beat for $30 off Beatport and makes a song, and that song blows the fuck up. Was it on YouTube or some show or something like that? You know what I'm talking about? What's
Old Town Road?
Old Town Road.
Bought off BeatStars?
Yeah. Like, so what's the story with that? You got it on BeatStars, and how do you first blow it up? I can't remember, but it was something.
It blew up on like Musically, and I think.
Or is it TikTok?
It was Musically and then TikTok. I think.
Yeah. That's it, right?
But not even right away. He said it just kept going. He just kept fucking putting.
Now there's a
life into
perfect
it.
story. So again, you know, he's out there. He buys a beat for $30, makes a song. It blows up on Musically, then TikTok, and it becomes the #1 song in the world for weeks and weeks.
Breaks
and weeks.
records.
Breaks fucking
Every
records.
record.
That did not happen 20 years ago. Not even close. It was impossible. There's no platform to do that. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Bieber, you say what you want, but man, YouTube.
I love Justin
He got
Bieber,
discovered. He's amazing. He's great. His records are always killer. You know? I mean, and it's like blew up via YouTube. You know? So the point is, there's opportunity in the modern music business. There's opportunity that never was there. And it's ripe for the taking. All you got to do is have a plan, a hustle, and some talent.
Do you think it gets shit on because back in the day there wasn't as much opportunity?
What do you mean? What
Like
what
parents, like coming from back in that era of thinking about the music industry.
again, I think
like,
parents are a unique breed. I know a lot of parents now. You know, I'm almost 40, so I got a lot of friends. They are parents. What you know about parents is, you know, they want the best for their children, and and that usually comes down to safety. Mm-hmm. And they like certain things are safe, like going to college and getting a job at a white collar job. That's safe. You know, becoming a music producer, it's not as safe. So I am sympathetic to their concerns about these things, but that's why, again, part of your plan is how do I incorporate the message to my parents that this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
And you got to be willing to do it anyways if they don't think it's okay.
sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, I mean, there's just certainly plenty of artists who, probably overcame parents who rejected them and rejected their art.
Is there a certain like habit you have? Because I mean, dude, you're like a machine who's moving and been hustling for a while. Like that helps you with like success. You think like a certain daily ritual or like a mindset thing?
Well, I start off every morning. I take 6 shots of tequila, and I'm just kidding. I don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Is there tequila here, buddy? Okay, never
I
mind.
think there might be some
All right,
tequila
later.
here.
There's some Tito's.
I mean, I think my only ritual is I keep very organized. I really try to keep organized. I've got a great assistant who like helps me with all this chaos of my professional life. And that's really helpful. I mean, and I just try to plan a lot, man. I mean, it takes a lot of planning. And of course, the thing I keep on forgetting to say is it also takes an incredible team, because I have the most fucking amazing team of people. You know, my name might be on the building, but still the team is really what makes up that brand. And I got incredible people. They're hardworking, they're passionate, they're smart, and they make the days go really fast and easy because they're just so damn good.
Since our last talk, did you have any revelations on finding those people?
It's the same story as last time, which is it's hard, and you got to put the effort into finding good people.
We're having a job fair. We have 300 people saying they're showing up.
We literally randomly were like, let's try a job fair. Just people show, because then that way we get to read them in person a bit, see if they're a good fit.
I mean, just the one thing I'd say for any job is you got to test them. That's been one of the most revolutionary aspects of our hiring. You know, you only get hired after you're given a test, and that test usually represents exactly what they would be doing. Mm-hmm. So you can really see whether, and of course on their resume, they say, oh, I do this, this, and this, and this. And that looks great. Oh, great. You do this? Perfect. Then of course you hire them and you find out, yeah, they do that, but really shitty. And they said they knew this program and they don't really know that program. They know of the program. Or they certainly don't at least know how to put it on a resume. So the tests really help us. Actually we're hiring a marketing person. I personally wrote the test for that, and it's not easy. They have to basically create a multifaceted marketing campaign.
You should let me talk to him.
I'm sure you'd be the best, man. I'm hiring, by the way.
No, that's that testing. We do that all the time. That's one of the biggest things. Also, just we try to, if we're doing people like long distance, try to fly them into do it in person.
That's what Dimitri's doing. We just met Dimitri.
Yeah.
Good.
Found out he's a fucking savage party animal. No, I'm just kidding.
Sometimes that's important.
Dude, we kind of joke about that. Like sometimes the best people have some I don't want to call it like a sin a little bit, but they're not like perfectly straight edge.
I think the thing you're getting at is your team has to have a certain culture. The culture has to vibe too. Mm-hmm. You could have someone who's extremely qualified, but if they're going to walk in and just butt heads with everyone in the office every day, that's not a good candidate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's definitely a big thing.
How do you weed those people out?
Again, it's the test, it's meeting people, and it's just, you have, my interviews are done with a bunch of different people from the company.
So you have several interviews?
Well, yeah, but the first one's a Google Hangout, so they don't even get in the office until they pass that culture test. The culture test has to be, immediately passed. And if, my HR people, whoever's hiring in that department goes, hey, we try to talk to this person and we can't even get a good conversation happening, obviously that's not going to be a good candidate.
How quickly do you read somebody in person and know they're not going to be right?
Pretty quick. You know that. I mean, we can read people
I'm just asking you so people
let's be honest. You can read someone. You can read whether or not they're going to be a good fit pretty soon.
I'll probably know within I'm going to say 5 minutes, but it's really within like 2.
I'd say 2 is a good time. In 2 minutes, I'm like, all right, this person, I can get the vibe of whether this will be a good culture fit. Yeah. It takes longer to find out if they're a good professional fit, but it's got to be both. Yeah. Again, if I'm hiring a marketing person, if they kill this test and write this incredible campaign and all this, they do this amazing Instagram campaign and email blast and all this stuff and choose a bunch of influencers and all this crazy stuff that's on the test. They pass out with flying colors, and then they can't interact socially with people around the kitchen in the office. They're gonna feel really uncomfortable. That uncomfortable vibe spreads throughout the office like a virus.
I completely agree.
It spreads fast, and we've had situations like that. We've had people who just didn't fit in, and that negativity and that uncomfortableness spreads, and it ruins everything.
Even for us, the podcast is cool because we meet so many people, but it's not about how big. We've had big people come in, but we don't necessarily want to work with them afterwards, because if we don't vibe with them, even on even if they're not working for us, we're just partnering up on stuff. We're just after the podcast, we're all right, it's done. But some people, even if they're tiny, but they're fucking awesome and they're showing love and it feels good, we're like, all right, let's keep fucking with that person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I think the human brain has been evolving for millions of years, and that quick instinct of fear, flight or fight, is this person right for me? I mean, your brain has learned how to fucking do that, how to sense danger, how to sense fear, how to sense if somebody's a right fit for you. Yeah. Back in the caveman days, So that's why I think it is.
I think you're right. I think we've adapted to, make decisions on other people. It's because you're right. Because it is fight or flight. It's do I like this person? Are they going to try to eat me? Or, and I'm making kind of a joke about it, but it's the truth. It's you have to make split decisions on whether this person is going to be yay or nay.
Well, how do you know when you need some help, whether it be an employee, a manager, whatever in the music industry? At what point do you know?
We're getting a Cymatics consulting session.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all this podcast is secretly.
Sure.
Cymatics just starts going up. Like, damn, what happened?
Make sure to send a bill to the Cymatics. Because it becomes quite apparent. For me, it was okay, I can't handle this. I need business is lacking because we don't have enough boots on the ground to handle these problems, handle these situations, manage these people. Things are lacking. I mean, one of the primary things with that is our code team is in Grenoble, France, and we didn't have a in-house LA liaison whose whole job was to be the conduit between the two offices. It was always me, or it was the graphics department, or the marketing department, and the sales department. It was just all this clusterfuck, and very clearly became apparent we need one point man whose literally job is to be the conduit between these two offices. And man, as soon as we hired that person and he got comfortable in his role. Just easy.
So is that person flying out there on a regular basis? Yeah. Why'd you decide to do your office in France?
Well, because Fabrice, my partner, is from France, and there's a lot of technical schools in Grenoble, and there was a lot of great talent to hire. And at the time, it was more affordable. And he was there half the year anyway, so it just made sense.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, fuck hiring developers, and especially
hiring developers
Cali,
is very difficult,
especially in San Francisco.
Now the hiring process for that office is ridiculous, because now luckily we've had a decent name for ourselves, and we get really top level talent who interviews to be a developer at our company.
Is the time zone difference?
Yeah, it was as part of the issue, but now we've got I don't really have to worry about it anymore, because now I get reports from him and just deal with him, and he's on my time zone. So
that's interesting.
It's a lot better.
What does that person do on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, a lot. He's one of the busiest people at the office.
He's just back and forth.
Just back and forth, going over documents and just working on schedules and beta teams. There's a ton, man. I mean, being a conduit between the development office and the sales, marketing, and business office is pretty crazy job.
So
I don't envy him.
Yeah. So
early meetings while they're, so when they're leaving the office, he's, has an early meeting with them. So he's up super early. They're staying a little late there's a lot.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, the reason we're asking questions, Steve's a smart motherfucker. And Slate's like couple years down the road.
Like I
sure.
told you the
like
first time I met
10X.
you, I see you guys trampling us very soon, the way you guys are rolling, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. Just keep grinding and keep growing. Hopefully we keep doing fun stuff together.
Maybe I should be coming to the job fair.
Job fair. Hey, we're hiring, by the way.
I was about to say, if anything, I should be working for you guys, man. You guys are killing it.
No, we just got to work together.
Where do you see the future of where you're going with all this? Because you're building a sick empire. I think it's awesome.
My future is always been the same. I just want to keep on building products for creatives, man. And it sounds corny, but the reason why I love what I do so much is because of stuff like how you guys did that job fair. We've done trade shows and we've done our own kind of fairs, and I get to see the people who use our products, and they're so fucking happy. Just like the people who met you guys, they're happy. They're happy because you're delivering them a product that allows them to create art, which makes them happy. And then in a sense, you're kind of delivering them a bit of happiness. And that's kind of what we're in the game of. We're in the game of making products that allow people to just, do their art and create something that makes them happy. So we're delivering a bit of happiness. It's just an amazing, rewarding feeling to do that. So to answer your question, I just want to keep doing that with new ideas. Like anything I can do to make more products that people go, fuck yeah, this is going to help me make a fucking banger track. And that banger track, I'm going to play for all my homies. I'm going to push it on Beatport. I'm just going to do all this cool stuff with it. And I'm happy as fuck. Boom. I've won right there. Yeah. My team has won.
It's all like, it's so cool for the live event stuff. Cause for me and Drew, we just see likes, comments, emails, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel as human as like when you go, hey, let's all hang out. We do a big event. And then you meet the people and hear from them. You're like, holy shit. Like the scale is crazy.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the greatest feeling because it reminds you what you're doing is important to people. And that's, it validates the hard work. It validates the troubles that you sometimes have to endure. And I love that kind of stuff. It's the only reason I go to NAMM.
Yeah. I've heard it's huge, right?
How many people go to that?
Too many. It's a lot. No, it's a lot. It's just chaotic. On the business side, it sucks. But the best part is meeting people. Whole other topic. Whole other podcast.
Did y'all do
on whether NAMM is worth it? What's that? We've been doing booths for over 12 years.
I think we should do it.
Do you think we should do something at our events?
No, I don't think you should do it.
Really? No.
Because you've already won. You beat them. You do the event last night. That's your fucking NAMM.
Oh, that's true.
You don't need a NAMM. You have Cymatics.
Do you think we should get other brands involved in our events?
Yes.
Because we're thinking about starting to do that.
That would be a good idea.
A sweet thing,
Cymatics can be its own trade show, but it's better because you're more focused on building relationships and collaborations and just building a community of creatives.
And the music itself too.
Yeah.
Our event is more focused around
you can't do that at NAMM. They're the NAMM police. That's why I call them the NAMM police. And they tell you to turn down. And then you turn down and they walk away. And I'm like, all right, guys, turn it up. And I'm like, oh fuck, they're coming back. Turn it down.
It's like
again.
when you're smoking a blunt outside a club. They're like, hey, you can't smoke here. All right, guys, we'll put it away.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll back out. Dude, we're fighting the venues to let us have fun and let all the producers have fun. It's like us versus the venues, and like, yeah, it's funny.
What are we at on time, Jordan?
Looking saucy.
Oh, sweet. This is coming out awesome, man.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to keep coming back out here, man.
Yeah, you guys should, man.
We're doing it
like I said, I'm going to get who out next time. I'm going to bring his ass here.
Dude, you do that, Steve, and I'm getting Slate Digital Tattoo right here.
Let me see if he wrote back. He did write back.
Uh-oh.
Just so you see, I ain't bullshitting. I don't want to get this on camera, but...
Get his number on there. You get blown up.
So Mike Dean wrote back, and unfortunately his answer was not sure. Probably the plates or the Brocosti, which is the M7 model in Verb Suites.
Cool.
That's still crazy though. We gotta answer for Mike Dean on the podcast on
what do you use on Travis Scott?
On best reverb for Travis Scott sound.
You are a connected motherfucker. Do you want to talk a little bit about like how, like, let's say somebody who's not as connected in the scene, I think you have a lot to offer, but like, what if somebody's like kind of wants to go to LA?
Always have something to offer.
Yeah, exactly. So
everyone has something to offer because you just gotta, again, people come to other people because there's a value exchange. Mm-hmm. They're giving me value. Like you guys give me so much value because you guys inspire the fuck out of me. You know, like there's so much value I get from hanging around you guys, seeing you guys hustle, seeing, you know, all the things you do, watching your Instagram and how you hustle on the sample packs, and just it's just so fucking cool. Like there's such great value. And also you guys are great dudes. I should also say that too. It's not just because of the Cymatics brand you're building, but you're also good people. So that's your value package of what you give me. And, you know, I'd like to try to give you some value back. And if you look at all your other relationships, that's what it is. I mean, whether it's your girlfriend, your parents, there's a value exchange there. So, I mean, to me, you know, building relationships is understanding your value and what you can offer someone else and trying to figure out what their value is and bonding on that. And I think that's how things work. As soon as it's a one-sided thing where you're trying to absorb someone else's value and you're not willing to push some of your own, that's when you just don't have a bond there. And people see that.
They see it instantly, man. There's so many people that we've helped out with stuff randomly, and we just see how they're like, oh, I don't want to quite give you the credit.
And I see it too.
Back.
We if somebody doesn't feel like they're reciprocating, we're done. We don't even try, because there's people we do fuck with. You might as well focus your energy on those people. You know?
Exactly. And I get it too. I mean, there's some major people. Hey, you know, wait, is this really a relationship, or are you just trying to get free gear out of me? You know, and I see that, and I was like, all right, well, this is nothing here, and I'm not getting anything back from you. You know, I'm not just some, you know, major artist free gear.
Steve, the second you send us one of those $60,000 Ravens, we're cutting it off. That's our whole focus.
I need one of those.
They're fun, man.
Yeah. No,
dude,
that's
crazy.
Could you maybe
What do you
like
want, FL?
Oh no, I use Ableton.
Ableton
use FL.
smokes on Ableton.
Oh, that's
it
awesome.
smokes. You got the MIDI pads. It's dude. You can play
awesome.
the thing like an instrument.
Yeah. Well, can you real quick, because I think a lot of people hear the word value, and for us, we kind of understand it. But could you give maybe some examples of like a producer, let's say, heard that? Like, can you give them some examples
from
of
your
what
career,
value
of when
is?
you've
Like,
done
what are you defining as value?
I mean, there's
like
different levels to it. As just a human being, the value is being kind, being good, understanding, listening, offering insight. That's value right there. You don't need anything. That's free, man. That's free.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just being a good person, be kind, man. It's free. You know, the second step is like, okay, hey, you know, I'm listening to your track and let's try, you want to collaborate with them. Hey, I got something to offer. For me, I got some drum samples. Maybe you can use some of them, mix them in. You know, let me be your personal splice and make some shit for you. Or, hey, you know, that's a great track. I got a vocalist. Let me set you guys up. Let me like facilitate relationships for you. Show that value that way. I mean, there's so many opportunities. Just, you have to think, you know, what can I do? What does this person need? Where's the value I can offer? You know, and I think that's it just works. And I look at some of the relationships that I've seen, like the professional relationships, like major artists and their managers even. And that's kind of how it works. You know, it's you know, like you said, it's a reciprocation of value, and it could really be anything depending on what you're trying to do with this person.
That's why I love showing people like even how Cymatics works sometimes, you know, see if something applies, like teaching them how we're doing text or some of the email stuff or some of the crazy like social campaigns you see, you know. Just because I know that like a lot of people are sometimes stingy, because I think there's an insecurity of like, oh shit, if somebody else
they are, and you are very giving about that stuff, and it's been extremely helpful. And
even on the last episode, Anna Domini was like, oh, you sure you want to give away Modern Producers gift card? I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck if somebody goes and checks out y'all sample packs.
I think a lot of that sometimes when they get bothered, they're worried that this one piece of information is the key to their success, and I'm thinking in my head like, dude, there's no one piece of information.
You're absolutely right. Now, back in the day when there was like these professional mixers and the industry was really elitist, and everyone would be like, how does mixer X get their drums to sound so big, or how do they get their vocals? It was super secretive. It was like weirdly secretive.
That's what we're trying to break.
Yeah, it was like weirdly secretive. But it's a lot less now, because I think some of the people are just starting to understand exactly what you said. That, you know, if someone finds out, for instance, Mike is a perfect example. Mike don't care. He looked up what reverb he used in Travis Scott. He knows that if we all find out the exact reverb that was used in Travis Scott, he's still going to be Mike Dean.
And Travis Scott is still going to be Travis Scott.
Yeah, he's got nothing to worry about. He's sharing the wealth, and he's great like that. He's taught me a lot, man. I've learned a lot from Mike, and the guy's such a legend, and he's fun to hang out with. You know,
people trying to hide like a plugin, like a secret plugin or something stupid.
When somebody does that, and I see that a lot with plugins and stuff, I instantly don't want to fuck with them. Yeah, because I'm like, I know how this guy is before I even meet them.
It's like your mindset's not there yet. You know, like, okay, this person's still like, you know, honestly, like, I mean, even in my head, like back in the day, I didn't think about certain things like value or any of that, to be honest. It's something I had to learn along the ways. But once you do it, you start to recognize in other people too.
Sure.
Know?
So, you want to go into bonus questions and giveaway? And
yeah, let's go into all the sauce.
What did we try to give away last time?
I don't know. Why we give away a mic?
Yeah, let's do it. We can do a mic. We don't do. Do you want to do? We don't have to do gift cards.
We should do a mic and one of the $60,000 Ravens.
How about a mic and an all access pass?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me tell you,
One
for modern producers, the all access pass is gonna be a good year.
Sweet.
Good year.
Yeah.
Remember, you get everything for the year.
And we'll do $500 Cymatics gift cards.
Why not? Why not? So that's
Cool.
seven
So
winners.
seven
I guess.
winners. Okay.
All right.
Sweet. I guess you guys know what to do. Just comment your favorite moment of this episode, and obviously give us a timestamp. That helps us. And if you're wondering,
Announcing winners soon.
winners are coming soon.
Ton
We're
of
going to be
winners.
doing hella winners. So if you guys are watching, entering all the things, don't think we're forgetting about you. We like to announce them in big bulk, so that way, as people are going through the episodes, they can enter. And plug. What should people go check out?
Well, I'd like you to check out slatedigital.com. And we have the all access pass, which is over $5,000 worth of incredible production software. And it's really, really affordable. It's $14.99 a month. You get everything. It also comes with Slate Academy, where you can learn from producers like Just Blaze on how to make a hip hop track. You learn from, Seven. You learn from Cameron Cardi, from Chris Lord-Alge, all kinds of styles. You get to download the sessions, download all the plugins. You get sample packs. You get presets. So basically, it's just a one-stop shop for any music
And I use
producer.
it in every project at this point.
and
Yeah,
you use it.
I was going to say,
Reed
you know,
uses it in every project. Reed Stefan. Most people I know at this point use that shit in
I
almost
appreciate
all
that,
their
man. You guys make it sound good. And the cool thing is this: when you are a member to the All Access Pass, everything we come out with, you just get for free instantly. As long as you pay the membership, $14.99 a month, you just keep getting everything.
It's worth it, man.
So I mean, it was definitely a business model I really was strong about, because we used to charge $200, $300 per plugin, and it made it hard for people to use our stuff. Now everyone can use it, and it's, again, I'm delivering that little piece of happiness, so it makes us really stoked on it. So that's Slate Digital.
yeah, think about it like Netflix of like music, like software and plugins. You get all this shit. And I would say, like, if you guys are watching this and like, I know a lot of people get caught in using the same stuff and not taking the time to actually upgrade their stuff. Download this and at least try it. Try it for a month or two.
Stop using the FL stock reverb. It's not as good as you guys think it is. I promise.
Definitely, you gotta check out Anna. Our synth is just blazing, man. That synth is so cool. We just came out the new analog edition, so it's got a whole bunch of old school synthwave vibes. It can do everything. That synth alone is worth the price of admission. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so go check that out. And guys, we're gonna hop into and ask some saucy questions in the audio only round. That's gonna be Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcast app, the whole nine, Stitcher. So we're gonna.
If anybody listens on Spotify, to be honest, I haven't ever checked.
There's people that listen.
Are there?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's more like people's go-to. You know what I'm saying? If their go-to is SoundCloud, it's easy to save all the episodes. But anyways, we're gonna switch over to that. So peace out.